Kapil is traditionally regarded as the founder of the Samkhya school, one of the oldest systems of Indian philosophy. His teachings outlined a dualistic metaphysics between consciousness and nature, both distinct realities. The world evolves from matter through a series of transformations, producing the entire material world. According to the Indian philosopher, liberation arises when consciousness realizes its difference from nature. The true self is not material. This school of thought emphasizes knowledge and discernment rather than devotion or ritual. Though it is often combined with atheism, its metaphysical framework later influenced many schools of Hindu philosophy, including yoga and Vedanta, making our philosopher a foundational figure in Indian thought. Patanjali was an Indian philosopher. He is traditionally credited with systematizing yoga philosophy through his seminal work, the Yoga Sutras. He presented yoga as a method for attaining spiritual liberation through discipline, study, concentration, meditation, and ethical living. The goal, according to this philosophy, is complete liberation of the self from material entanglements. The Indian philosopher outlined an 8-limbed path to this goal that includes moral restraints, postures, breath control, withdrawal of senses, concentration, meditation, and ultimately, enlightenment or liberation. Many versions of yoga build upon Samkhya metaphysics but adds a theistic dimension, acknowledging the divine as a model for the seeker. The Indian teacher's influence has been profound, bridging philosophy and psychology, theory and practice in a system still revered worldwide. Nagarjuna was an Indian philosopher. He is perhaps the most influential thinker of Mahayana Buddhism, renowned for developing the Middle Way school. His core idea was the emptiness of all phenomena. According to the Indian philosopher, all things lack inherent existence. They arise only in dependent origination. This means that phenomena, objects, and even the self have no fixed essence. Their identity is always relational and contingent. Yet this is not absolute nihilism. We can speak of two truths: the conventional truth, which is the everyday reality we experience, and the ultimate truth, which is the reality of emptiness. For the Indian philosopher, recognizing emptiness allows freedom from clinging and leads to liberation. His vision helped reshape Buddhist thought, and his philosophy remains influential today. Shankara was an Indian philosopher and great systematizer of Advaita Vedanta, an influential Indian school of philosophy that can be classified as a kind of non-dualism or monism. His perhaps most famous claim was that Brahman, the ultimate, formless reality, is the only truth, and that the world of multiplicity in some sense is an illusion or a mere appearance. The individual self is one with the highest self. It is Brahman according to him. Liberation comes not primarily through ritual or action, but through knowledge, the realization that one's true nature is one with ultimate reality, being, consciousness, bliss. While rooted in the Upanishads, the Indian philosopher's interpretation emphasized the unity of everything. He also engaged in extensive debate with rival schools and promoted monastic life and scriptural study. His thought has had a profound influence on Hindu philosophy to this day. Ramanuja was an Indian thinker and a leading philosopher of the Vedanta school of thought, who argued for a kind of qualified non-dualism. He affirmed the unity of all reality in Brahman, but insisted that this unity includes diversity. The individual souls and the world are real, but depend on the ultimate. According to the Indian philosopher, Brahman, God, or Vishnu, is not abstract and without properties, but personal and full of love and positive qualities. Liberation is attained not merely through knowledge, but also through devotion, grace, and self-surrender. The Indian philosopher emphasized the soul's eternal dependence on the highest reality, yet upheld its individuality. His philosophy helped shape some versions of Hinduism and set the tone for the Bhakti movement, blending metaphysics with deep devotional feeling. Madhva was an Indian thinker and originator of Dvaita Vedanta, a dualist school of Indian philosophy. He emphasized the eternal difference between the highest reality, the individual souls, and the world, rejecting various forms of non-dualism. For him, the ultimate being, Brahman or God, is supreme and personal. Individual souls are forever distinct, though dependent on the highest self. Liberation means attaining proximity to the divine, not merging with the highest reality. His philosophy is grounded in devotion and scriptural hermeneutics. The Indian Philosophers system influenced many devotional movements in several parts of India and remains a key voice in Hindu theology today. Swami Vivekananda was an Indian philosopher, a key figure in the modern revival of Hinduism and a bridge between East and West. He taught the essential unity of all religions and the divinity of the soul. The Indian philosopher emphasized the potential for greatness within each individual, advocated for selfless service as a form of worship, and stressed the importance of education for character building and self-reliance. He also promoted the idea of harmony and equality among all people, regardless of their background. Religion for him was not dogmatic belief, but the search for union through action, meditation, knowledge, and love. At the 1893 Parliament of Religions in Chicago, Vivekananda introduced Indian spirituality to the world. He promoted interfaith dialogue, religious tolerance, education, and spiritual humanism, inspiring generations across India and beyond. Shri Orurobindo was an Indian philosopher who developed a visionary, yoga-based philosophy called integral yoga, combining Vedic wisdom, evolutionary theory, and spiritual practice. He believed spiritual evolution is the driving force of cosmic and human development. For the Indian philosopher, reality was a dynamic process in which the divine manifests through matter and life. The ultimate goal was not escape from the world, but transformation of life into a divine consciousness. His educational philosophy emphasized the development of the whole person, integrating intellectual, moral, and spiritual growth. His writings, perhaps especially The Life Divine, explored metaphysics, mysticism, human potential, and human evolution, offering a spiritual vision of progress and unity. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan was a philosopher, scholar, statesman, and president of India. He sought to reinterpret Hinduism for the modern world, portraying it as a spiritual, inclusive, and rational tradition. The Indian thinker argued that all genuine religions are grounded in a common core of religious experience. Some truths are the products of spiritual intuition, rather than logical reasoning or systematic philosophy, according to him. He believed that education should aim to develop both the intellect and the character of individuals, and he emphasized the importance of ethics and the ability to think critically and independently. The Indian philosopher championed a holistic and moral approach to life, integrating intellectual and spiritual development, promoting ethical leadership, cultural understanding and bridge building, philosophical idealism, religious tolerance, and striving for a more just and peaceful world. Jiddu Krishnamurti was an Indian philosopher who criticized organized religion, dogma, and spiritual authority, including the role of the guru. His central message can perhaps be summarized in the following way: truth is a pathless land, discovered through direct, inner inquiry. The Indian philosopher taught that freedom begins with self-awareness, not belief systems. He emphasized observing thought without judgment, seeing how emotion and conditioning shape perception. This clarity can lead to radical transformation. His dialogues with scientists, educators, philosophers, and seekers explored many topics such as consciousness, love, spiritual development, and ethics. Krishnamurti's approach was non-sectarian and psychological, aiming to awaken wisdom and inner responsibility in each person.